members of this House, the Honorable Minister of State, to see how the agreement we have, the paper, which is endorsed by the both parties, to see how it works. If it doesn't work, we will go back demanding for this money to be paid. This time around, I am not sure whether it will be only the strike. It may be protest. And we may not be able to control these people that we have been able to control now. Some of us for 31st of December, January 2021, that this money is paid to the teachers in FCT. Thank you so much, and may God bless you, Grace House.
With deep sense of appreciation, it is my pleasure to appear before this honorable committee for an interactive discussion on issues of serious concern to FCT. I believe this gathering will x-ray deeply the numerous challenges facing us today, especially in the management of the area council in the Federal Capital Territory. The letter of invitation did highlight the areas of deliberation, so I shall restrict my initial contributions to topics, but will gladly present other areas of challenge to this honorable committee as permissible. As stated in the letter, the areas of deliberation will include the following: effects of COVID-19 pandemic in the FCT, the primary school teachers' strikes, the National Union of Local Government Employees NULGE strike, and the security challenges affecting the Federal Capital Territory. The World Health Organization declared COVID-19 a global pandemic on 11th March 2020, and the first case in Nigeria was diagnosed on the 27th February 2020. As of today, Nigeria has a total number of 64,996 confirmed cases of the virus, with the FCT recording 6,371 confirmed cases. The impact of the COVID-19 has been very devastating to almost all the aspects of our lives. The lockdown and its resultant suspension of social and economic activities has had severe consequences too numerous to mention. The second quarter, Q2 2020 Labour Force Survey (NFS) released by Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) between the 17th June and 8th July 2020 provides crucial information on households' response to COVID-19 in the key states of Kano, Lagos, Rivers, and the FCT. These can be benchmarked against pre-crisis data of the 2018-2019 Nigerian Living Standards Survey. Several key insights that emerged from this analysis indicated the following. The share of people engaged in economic activities was lower in June to July 2020 than before. The COVID-19 crisis, especially in the FCT, where the share of people working was down by around 14%. Food insecurity appears to be prevalent, with about 72% of households in the FCT reported to have skipped meals since the start of the pandemic due to financial crunch. The report also indicated that households in all 4 states of Kano, Lagos, Rivers, and Abuja were drawing down their savings and borrowing money to cover their living expenses, which may leave them with nothing or more economically vulnerable and reduce their investments in human capital in the future. More than 1 in 5 households in the FCT were reported to have violated containment measures in order to maintain a living, emphasizing the trade-off households face between earning incomes and protecting their health. Despite some variations between the 4 states, the majority of households knew about the importance of washing hands with soap and water, at least 3/4 of households. and using face masks at least 80% of households to protect themselves against the COVID-19. Although almost all restrictions in place to curb the spread of the COVID-19 had been lifted by the time of report, for example, stay-at-home requirements were relaxed and interstate travel was permitted, the share of working-age Nigerians again in form of economic activity continued to be significantly lower in the FCT in 2020 compared to 2018-2019 by 14% across all 4 states of the Kano, Lagos, Rivers and FCT of the Federation. Of these households in which someone was working in mid-March 2020, at least 5% report that the household member had lost a job or changed activities. This clearly indicates the impact. D, to our context, to add the context to the food insecurity perspective, the share of households reporting that all adults in the households have to skip a meal since the start of the pandemic. Now, a lot of households may still be struggling to cope, resonating with the notion that incomes remain vulnerable and food insecurity appears to be prevalent, even as today a lot of businesses have not resumed back to pre-COVID-19 pandemic days. As an administration, to dampen and other impacts of COVID-19 on our people in the FCT, we sensitize communities, procure food items, mobilize additional food and non-food donations, and reach more more than a million households with palliative food, including rice, semovita, garri beans, sugar, and an assortment of condiments. The FCT has continued to seek ways to adjust the blows our people have been dealt. Incomes from revenue sources have dwindled as a result of the lockdown, and the needs of the people have grown largely because their vulnerabilities have been heightened, not only by the joblessness or the job losses, but also by the widespread flood and the disturbances in the wake of the NSAS protest. The support of this Honorable Committee will be instrumental in easing the impacts further as we look forward to greater peace of recovery in 2021, riding on renewed emphasis on the agricultural production, starting with 2020-2021 dry season, the 2021 rainy season farming, investment in agro-processing and more entrepreneurship support, school teachers, a National Union of Local Government Employees strike action. Honorable Chairman and committee members, please permit me to jointly discuss the issue of primary school teachers' strike and that of the National Union of Local Government Employees together, as they have the same cause and therefore the same solution. The Nigerian Union of Teachers and the National Union of Local Government Employees, NULGE FCT chapter, embarked on the strike action on the 31st of October 2020 as a result of the non-payment implementation of improved national minimum wage. As you are all aware, the payment of teachers under the NUT and that of the local government employees are the responsibilities of area councils. Let me start that immediately after the two unions threatened strike, we engaged all stakeholders with a view to finding a solution to the problem. This led to the constitution of a multi-stakeholder ministerial committee on the implementation of new minimum wage in area councils and local education authorities of the 6 area councils. The committee's work is in its process, and it has already submitted an interim report with some important findings and recommendations. We at the FCTA are doing our best to support the area councils whatever way we can to ensure that the area councils are capable of paying and sustaining the payment of the new minimum wage. As at now, the challenge news is that the striking teachers and local government workers have agreed to call off the strike, and they have called off the strike, and allow the process that will provide a permanent solution to the problem. Security challenges affecting some of the area councils I would like to brief as well. Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the committee, you are all aware of the security challenges affecting many parts of the country. The FCT inclusive. It is no longer news that there have been reports. It is a well-known fact that Abuja is the fastest growing capital city in Africa today. The attendance affected has been massive influx of persons from various states of the Federation into the Federal Capital Territory, posing serious developmental challenges, particularly the emergence of planned settlements and attendant security breaches. As an immediate step, actions have already been taken to ensure that illegal settlements that have sprung up around indigenous communities are removed, and that more of the original inhabitants are permanently resettled outside the capital city within 2021 budget cycle. On the security and lives and property, the FCT administration is continuously engaging all security challenge agencies in the FCT and giving them all the necessary support to help in their efforts to rid the FCT of their bad elements. We believe that various security agencies are doing their best in bringing an end to the issue of kidnapping, which has been problematic of recent. The administration has established and maintained a robust platform to tackle security challenges with measures, including but not limited to holding monthly security committee meetings to appraise the security situations in the territory and to provide suitable responses and solutions to observe challenges. The FCT Security Committee comprises all security and intelligence outfits in the territory. The chairman of the 6 area councils, the graded chief and traditional rulers, religious leaders, among others. Similarly, area council security committees have been constituted, chaired by the chairman of the respective area councils, with heads of the security agencies, traditional district rulers, villages, and ward heads. As members, we are constituted to facilitate intelligent gathering to forestall any untoward actions by criminal elements, to reinforce and provide all overreaching platforms for their measures. The FCT crisis response doctrine is a major attempt by the FCT administration to address issues that threaten peaceful coexistence of FCT residents and visitors alike. The document is classified into 5 parts. 1. Threat identification. 2. Solutions and who to deal with the threat. 3. Containment in the event that threats snowball into crisis situation. 4. Profiling, mitigating measures to the consequences of the crisis. And 5. Risk assessment of the FCT and its mitigating measures. The FCT administration provides regular logistic support to security agencies in the territory to enhance their operational capabilities. This support has become quite necessary to help them confront the multifaceted challenges experienced by the administration on a daily basis. The support is by way of providing operational vehicles and funding of special operations. Mr. Chairman and other honorable members of this committee, I took time to catalogue some of these challenges we face in the area councils in particular and the FCT in general, with the firm conviction that together we can build the FCT of our dreams. I have no doubt in my mind that with purposeful engagement, much will be achieved. Thank you very much, but I must highlight quickly the issue of the area council strike as I conclude this documented brief. To the best of my knowledge, after assumption of office, actually chair the JAC became difficult and stalled. I had not been at the helm of affairs steering the JAC, but I had been the one at least in the rungs into the stretches to ensure things are done, to ensure schools resume. So when I looked at it practically and engaging my colleague to ensure that the right thing is done, because I was never briefed, not even by the then permanent secretary. Only the chairman makes some concerted efforts to meet me time to time, in which I will meet my colleague. Actually, a status I made when I arrived as state. Nature abhors vacuum. Perhaps this might have developed when there wasn't a minister of state overseeing the area council affairs. So practically, it was left for the permanent secretary then. So on the arrival and the forming of the minister of state, there was a constitutional brief, and the permanent secretary held sway and refused to hand over. But that is history. Now, immediately I took over. I had my first jack, the last jack we had, ready for the next one now. And immediately we tabled and sat with all the area council chairmen and the stakeholders, and immediately formed a committee that already reached into their issues and mitigated to get the strike stopped as we appealed to them to avoid this snowballing in excess manner. They are held strictly, even though in fact, it is embarrassing to mention that we are yet to implement the minimum wage. I found it odd that most of us did, but the situation is here before you. We had already put ourselves together, our heads together with my colleague, and we discussed at length. And steps intended to be also taken to mitigate, as I proposed to my colleague, is also seeking some other external source of funding to support the area councils before this is resolved clearly. Because to resolve from the report submitted by the committee, there might even be forensic audit of the area councils as required to enable us know where we do have some cash or some funds stashed, especially that there is no record of any. We've also engaged the FCT IRS to know what is there to be remitted, as there are claims from the area council chairman that they do have deductions that is supposed to be remitted to them. Secondly, there is also a second claim of co-funding from the UBEC and to the FCT, just like to other states, that we are also pursuing, and we are also looking at the possibility of, for the first time, FCT applying for the bailout, just like states, because in the FCT status as a quasi state, most of the times it is being treated as a ministry, and yet you have the human component to deal with. So this now will be the last step we'll be able to take to quickly mitigate some of these issues, because in dialoguing with the area council chairman, with my committee, we've been able to realize that if we leave them to themselves, for now, these promises might not actually be brought to fruition as much as they desire to. Because the Honorable Minister also made me to understand before I came in that there were outstanding loans given to the area council chairman that have not been remitted, so he will not go further. But that, then again, we've been able to pacify him to say whatever the situation, we have the human component that might not need to know, or that might not need to be dragged into the outstanding issues, because they do have a life. They spend in the same market. They are human with their meager, even the so-called minimum wage. If you ask me today, how much does it command in the market for them to be able to keep and take care of their families? So this, the FCT administration is aware, and we are taking bold steps to lay to rest finally, with sincere apologies to the NULGE, the NUT, and all the bodies that have to be dragged in here. But justice will be done to it, that definitely the minimum wage and all other promises will be paid. But it just requires definitely something out of the box to be done by the FCT administration to support the area council management to ensure that they are able to meet this before we settle whatever it is that is the source of, revenue and the problems. The committee also was saddled with responsibility of looking through some other areas of revenue generation within the area councils. Waiting for, statutory, waiting for what will be given to us remittances will no longer hold. So if we look into area councils, all the area councils in their peculiarities, they are already doing that, to come up with how we join them to co-generate revenue, to engage them robustly, to ensure equitable distribution, and the provision of some facilities and social amenities. It will go a long way to support the management of the area councils. These are many more we've been able to see in the area councils. I know most of you also reached out to me within the week, not only for this strike, but for the issues of taxation, double taxation, issues of finances, issues of generally ranging between revenue generation, the FCT administration, and the area councils. These we are also critically looking into, and committees are being formed to ensure that justice is served, and we'll be coming back to you even where we know some laws are old enough to be implemented, not to be implemented, because when you do, it is equal to nothing. It no longer holds water. We'll be able to sit as a committee with the management to find a lasting solution. To provide these solutions, we might need to come up with new laws, new bylaws that will be applicable to the situation on ground today. As we critically know that Abuja has exceeded, the limit of the population earmarked for the city center. So the spread actually into the area councils and suburbs in areas of development and provision of infrastructural facilities in the area councils will go a long way to decongest the city center and reduce the pressure on most of the usage and the people and service providers within the Federal Capital Territory. These will also come back to you because, like the proverbial Oliver twist, we might be asking you to please. We might be asking you to please support us to come up with a proposal to the executive and to the presidency on FCT city center satellite town development and security intervention fund. This will go a long way to give us a tool through which some of these issues we quickly borrow and then begin to use, and will enable us take a quantum leap into development of the Federal Capital Territory. No capital territory will actually leave a very big kind of development like this to statutory or national budget. It is not practicable. That is actually like running costs in developed clients. If you look at it today, if we are not able to go into the satellite towns to provide adequate roads, to provide basic infrastructure and social amenities like the hospitals, like quality schools. You look at the schools today, ask me, is it only about the teachers' payment? You need to look at the condition through which these teachers teach and operate. Then we begin to ask ourselves questions again. It is for posterity we judge us. But this we'll be able to do by doing something out of the box. And what is this thing out of the box? If we continue to go day by day like I've observed in the FCT, to go by the book of what is applicable, I know too many of my directors have been operating against the normals. But when the situation is already against the normals, you have to operate against the normals to ensure that you do something different that will bring about quality service to people. We've already overshot the population. Then even the development of the shanties, you cannot stop. It is easy to say you want to remove the shanties. You want to remove, the unwanted structures. How do we remove them without alternatives? Then it will take you to the function of budget line and provisions within the administration. When you go back to these functions again, you will realize that the responsibilities are hinged upon not only your own making, but the capacity of the administration vis-à-vis the fund that is left. The revenue generation within the administration itself is not left out. The revenue being given before by information of the FCT, some will tell you, is about 2% or so of the national budget. As I speak to you, that is no longer applicable. So it is ranging between 9 billion, 29 billion. And the first time I came in, it was zero allocation. How do you operate within this to give a befitting or quality service to people? It is easy to compare this administration to what we used to have of the Federal Capital Territory, that we're able to put some of the, start some of the infrastructures. But today the revenue has dwindled nationally, but we might be able to look at how we put ourselves together with the oversight function of the National Assembly, both the Rep and the Senate, to approach the presidency for a review of a realistic approach of how FCT will be better developed. And how FCT will be better developed, we will be having specified front where we shall draw. We still take us to the issue of either the grant. No matter who the signatories are, we don't want to know. But what we need to know is to engage quality, companies that are known, like the Vega and so on, that are known for infrastructural development, to give them a stipulated period of not more than 12 months or 16 months. So it's not going to be one company or a unilateral function, so that we'll have quantum development in the 6 area councils. We open up the roads and then begin also the PPP to engage people to come and do the facilities. If we do not open up and fix, the engineering infrastructures as a government, you cannot bring people to partner with you, but the same people are to give you the engineering infrastructures. If we cannot open up, then we cannot force people to say you must go up. For instance, shortly I will tell you, area council still on my mind and under my thoughts. People will speak to you. The last time we met with the committee on Rep, we also talked slightly, which will be highlighted in the next presentation, on the movement, for instance, of people of the Mapushi. Anyone will go to Mapushi and say this is an eyesore, almost in the city center and in the heart of Abuja. But how do you relocate the people? The people are supposed to be relocated to Sheregalwi. How do we go to the Sheregalwi? This is the housing FCT I've been able to struggle to make. But we met these housing facilities, some without toilets, without soccer waste. Then how do you tell someone to move from the town and move into a house without basic infrastructure? These again we quickly embarked on. Now we are working on the road. We are working on the basic amenities like the toilets and the soccer waste within there. So it was a white elephant project before we came. But this today is being made to rest because we are doing that. At the same time, we are just battling to amend our budget to ensure that the Mapushi is equally captured, to give them relocation, stipends. If you do not give them the compensations, I can assure you, you call for fines. You cannot move them without compensation. You cannot move them without mobilization fees. You cannot move them without that place being ready. Then it is easy to call it a shanty, but the function of the government there is one peculiar task. This did not begin today from the creation of FCT. If I tell you closely before I step down to wait for some other discussions, FCT itself, in 8,000 square kilometers, was meant to house the entire population. But today, as I speak to you, FCT is only developed by the little city center we see, 250 square kilometers from 8,000 square kilometers. That means leaving 7,750 square kilometers undeveloped. It is not easy today to say you are having a head count. You have people more than the numbers of people that are supposed to actually cohabit in a house. Yes, this is the federal capital city. It is easy to blame the government. But at the same time, you cannot stop people from coming in. The population influx has far overwhelmed the provided facilities, not because they are not there. Incessantly, the FCT management is working on roads, is working on, but at the same time, the population is already overusing what is available. So the only option for us is to look at how to open all the satellite towns, which has also become a safe haven for all the criminal activities. Because no census, no regulation, no control. I'm sure it's even above even the area council chairman. For so many times we have organized the sanitation of that area. It has gotten to a point now we are calling for the old model to Bagari system of public health workers to be cleaning from door to door. Because the cleaning contractors cannot even meet up cleaning. If you have 100 people in a room and I'm sure you will sweep it every minute. Because unlike when you have 5 or 4 that will clean it, keep it sane, in 100, every 10 people will go per second to a space. And we still litter it without the culture of non-littering. All this takes us to the formation of slums in the Federal Capital Territory, the development, eruption of shanties in the Federal Capital Territory. Many will tell you there is no light, there is no water there. How do you have these, all these amenities were not meant to serve this large population within city center? So it is overwhelmed. You have everybody tapping from the same source for machines that are meant to serve a few, just 2,250. Now serving almost everybody. You cannot force them to go. As I speak to you, in my knowledge, my thesis was on FCT master plan, that all the Wabulada Area Council is like the industrial zone of the FCT. That means it is like the Apapa of Lagos. Now today you have all cottage industries springing up within town by day by night, everywhere. Because there is no development there. There is no production that will come up reasonably from those areas without light, without water, without good road, without accommodation. So everyone in search for greener pasture is in the city. Now, the high gridlock, traffic gridlock we ran away from in Lagos, for those of us who know, is now returning here. I know when I left my house and I know when I arrived here. And people will continue to be on the road till 11, 12 before they arrive their offices. Then it's high time we wake up. Nation building is a collective responsibility. We must apologize sincerely to our teachers who we feel are underpaid and are yet even to be paid the minimum wage. I appeal to you, House. I know you will be with us. We need your support to be able to do this, because we must go for extra funding, because what we are also given as an administration is not even capable of running our own proper functions. How much more overseeing the support of the lower body, which is the area council within the Federal Capital Territory. This case is purely reliant on your shoulders now, hits upon your shoulders now, because we are looking up to you to help us out. Unfortunately, we've not been able to see it as usual, as regular. If we had been doing this, maybe this wouldn't have occurred. And I'll take it again, if I had been that person 1 year at the helm of affairs, would have been neatly bounded to see what I would do. But I didn't see myself coming to oversee and talk about what I am not in charge of physically. As I speak to you before the last meeting, which was last month, I didn't even know what comes into the area councils and what goes out of it, what is left of it, how do we manage it. All this was not done due to some administrative, lapses, but that has also been laid to rest.
They have served in their best capacity. They know some of the solution to this problem. If I turn my eyes to left to right, I can see former chairman, some assistant chairman. But before we go into that, we have the ALGON chairman here. I think we need to respond to some of these issues, because we know that the NUT, the NULGE, all of them, they are on your tables. They derive their payment from your tables. I think you can speak on behalf of the other chairman before the members respond.
Your Excellency, the Honorable Minister, permit me to proceed on already established protocols. I will first and foremost appreciate the FCT administration for their total engagement and commitment to see this issue settled as established. In fact, I will also extend my appreciation to the two union leaders for the maximum understanding they had and honor our invitation. We were able to discuss extensively, transparently with them involved, and we were able to fine-tune arrangement. It's not just the implementation, but the sustainability of the implementation matters also, and the availability of the funds. A lot of other sources were identified apart from our revenue generation point. As we speak, I would like this great committee to be informed that there is deduction going on from our 10% revenue in internal revenue generation. It's a bailout that was given by FCT administration about 6 years ago, when they found the administration had then put themselves in a critical situation. And the deduction is going on now, which we believe our position is even more critical than before. And the deduction is ongoing. That is also a source of our funding. Well, the reduction is on progress. That is one. Align myself with the two speakers of the union leaders, where they did mention of IRS. This money is legitimately there. This money is confirmed by the authority in charge. And I want to believe in this committee, the chairman of that IRS appeared here. He did mention that the money is there. He is only saddled with the responsibility of collection, but he never the disbursement. That would be a very good source of funding, and that would settle a very reasonable percentage of what we are talking about. Additionally, last administration, we had Paris Law, in which part of it was given to the area council based on our struggle from then governors. The balance is pending and paid. We will be very brief. My colleague will proceed from where I stopped. The balance are hanging in the CBN. So, in this case, we would like the honorable members to take up this issue seriously, with every effort to see that this money are realized. We are engaging the two union leaders transparently so that they can know the effort we are making, very extreme effort to make sure that whatever agreement we have with them will never be a sinking ship. The Honorable Minister herself equally is doing the best he could so that the deadline as assigned that will be submitted to this committee is achieved. I would like Ahmad to proceed from here because he has an additional point to add. Thank you, sir.
I just wanted to highlight briefly that all that the ALGON chairman said and what our principal said at the Minister of State, she spoke the mind of the area councils and all that has happened. However, we may wish to add that all of us here are politicians. You are our distinguished senior political office holders. Thus, the situation in the area councils would seriously require your assistance. Not because of we as sitting chairman today, but the council will outlive us as persons. And the system has to change for the betterment of the area council administration generally, so that those who are even coming behind can find something better. The laws are inconsistent, sincerely, and there are a lot of conflicts between each of these laws, between the area councils, the FCT and what have you. All inconsistencies abound. And there is every reason why this House, since it is the oversight, it is the oversighting committee that has to do with it, because we don't have any state assembly. I think the committee here need to do very the needful so that we can come out of these situations. Distinguished Chairman, sir, you will agree with me that we are 1 year and almost half of our tenure is gone. The whole of this year, 2020, was so terrible with all the 6 area councils, indeed all arms of government. There is very little or nothing that our constituents got from our own services. We may not wish to have our successors coming to inherit these kind of situations. And therefore, you heard from the NULGE chairman and the NUT chairman, they are not just thinking of staging another strike, but possibly with a protest. Abuja city is a peaceful city that shouldn't allow any crisis to bedevil it any longer. And because we had a series of strikes and protests, we may not wish to record it. That is the reason why, in the best interest of the common people, we appended our initials so that they can call off this strike, particularly because of the poor families whose children don't attend any private school other than these public schools. It is in their interest, not because we have the capacity per se to withstand the conditions put before us. But we do know that if we don't append our initials and these children remain at home, then there is going to be lopsided, because those who are having the means will have their children in school.
The other labor organization. I think the minister, from what she has said, I think that she's doing well. And from what is captured on the 6th paragraph 11, shows commitment on the part of FCT to ensure that this strike will be resolved. But in addition to all that we have said, the other man, the ALGON man, has spoke about the local education authority. I've been a council chairman for more than 2 terms, and I know that this issue of 1.2 billion, I don't know whether it's static to all the states in the preparation for teacher salary. We had this issue when I was council chairman, and personally I fought it with the state government, and we had an audit. So I want to suggest that there must be an audit in that area. Because you can't be paying 1.2 billion for more than 7 years. Nobody dies, nobody retires, no recruitment. It can be started. And I can assure you, if you do this, you have more than 600 million difference in this arrangement. So that area, you may not want to wait for forensic, because forensic will take time. Set a committee that chairmen or councils are part of it, and they do this audit. It's a 2-3 weeks thing, and I can tell you, you will get to know more about it. And again, man, I don't know, I've not looked at the law as regards the jack in the FCT. That is one area, because most of those deductions that you'll be doing or that have been done are not necessary, and some are overblown. So please look at, now that you are superintending over jack, look at the deductions that have been done in jack. If that is carefully looked at, what remains for the local government will increase tremendously. That's my humble contribution and my submission. Thank you.
This is a peculiar situation. It's not peculiar to area council alone. It's to the nation as a whole. I want to look at what happened to the budget appropriation in 2020. We came for revision as a result of COVID-19 pandemic. And a factor on the system, if affected, the whole system is going to be affected. I want to believe what actually happened to the nation as a whole. That's a reflection on your parts. And once it's come like this, I want to believe the parasite will not like to kill the host. I understand the situation with the NUT and the NULGE. The labor union, I understand your plight. It's not all about you here, but your followers too. We have to see things ourselves. Governance is about everybody. We achieve through synergy. Nobody can do it alone. We have been enjoying your cooperation long before now. But when the NULGE chairman was speaking, I can understand. He could have mentioned where we have to plug. There are holes, just like Rally mentioned. My colleagues have already said something about it. We have to look into it vividly. And areas like that will fetch you enough money to deal with when it comes to serious expansion. We have to attend to it. Honourable ministers have mentioned so many ways that you can look into at least to get money, at least to fund the agreement based with fast lands. We are going to realize that objective. So those areas, I think, in the response, I can understand from the from the ALGON president, that already they had a loan where 10% reduction was being built year out. And all this are pending. Apart from the present problem, we have to address all this issue. The grant you are looking for, Honorable Minister, the grant you mentioned, the bailouts, they are necessary at this particular point in time. And other members are here. We are supposed to have our input. So that's what we are going to have. So that at least we curtail all these excesses and see that government see into a problem. So that we can have a spirit-friendly government. And it's not to be alone. The issue of minimum wage is a national policy and it's been in place for so long. All state federations, even Osun State, where I came from, they have started implementing it. Noyo, and so on and so forth. So it's necessary. We have to create an enabling environment as well. But at the same time, they have to see up to our problem. How do we make it? We have to do it jointly. That's why I say both sides, we have to see this together. We have to be transparent to each other. Once they see we have a problem, they will know how to jointly solve that problem. That's my advice for now. Thank you very much. Thank you.
As said earlier, by the Honorable Chair, most of us here were local government council chairman. In fact, some of us started as council chairman, like me. I started as council chairman, local government councillor, vice chairman, and chairman for almost 4 times to the National Assembly. Honorable Minister, I know at present the federal government gives subvention to local government. And as a result of this jack of reform, as well as the bailout, my position here is that with regard to payment of this salary and arrears, I believe if this money goes to local government directly, we'll be able to pay these arrears and salary. But the money does not go directly to this local government. In fact, even the 10% as regards to joint account is supposed to be deducted from what you receive as IGR to local government area council with the subvention from the federal government, but that is not done. So my issue here is that we should do better to see that these funds received by you from the federal government on behalf of the local government area council be given to them directly, because if that is done, I think we should be able to pay these salary and the arrears as far as the NULGE and the ALGON, the NULGE is concerned. Thank you.
My own is just a kind of the contributory, in the sense that you made mention of some conflicting laws. And having a very good relationship with this committee and our chairman, who is capable, I believe we should articulate these laws. We have a competent leaders in National Assembly, in which you can be given as letter hearing, and such law can be amended. So it is all about you with your family to meet with our chairman, articulate such, we look at it, and that is why we are here, to do what can affect the life of the former people that we are representing. That is it. Secondly, you made mention of hanging funds. National Assembly members, committee members are empowered by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And for that, we have a competent chairman that you as a minister, which we know you too well, that you are capable. If you liaise with our chairman, such funds can be released with the help of the chairman, with a letter from the National Assembly. There will be a kind of good relationship with the translation from the office and office of the chairman to the leadership of the house. Such a claim can be addressed so that the teachers will get what is good for them. And the other one is proper accountability. That will begin of those offices and reduction in so many other areas, because in local government administration there is a lot of loopholes.
even in your account, if you not check it, if you need to find out that bank will be holding some billions of naira. So such a thing you have to look into it, it will help so that we will cook money to make sure that the parents and all these NUT, NLC get what is due for them. And we have to commend you because you are really a father. If not that most of you are a father, we would have reacted with our mommy for what she's doing to make sure that our children get back to the school. You have helped to reduce crime. If most of those children on the street, the EndSARS and similar things would have done worse. But when most of them get to class, they're able to listen, and such a thing get them out of the streets. I have to commend you for that and commend the minister for such a thank you. Thank you.
And I feel very strongly, our chair, that if we know the reasons why the Paris law is not released to you, the committee can make a motion. The committee can bring a motion on the floor of the House. And jointly, this committee and the minister, the committee on finance can summon whoever is responsible. We can summon the minister of finance to come and explain why the funds are hanging, and thereafter take the report to the House, and they will be compelled to release the funds if you have good reasons. So I think it's as simple as that. There's nothing that is rocket science there. It's very simple. The National Assembly has its own instrumentality to deal with matters like this. So I think the earlier the better you brief the committee properly on why the funds are not released. If there are good reasons, the committee can bring a motion on the floor of the House, and all the relevant agencies will be summoned before the House, and will be directed to go and do the needful. There's nothing too difficult there. So that's my suggestion.
Most of those areas I really want to touch please. However, briefly touch on them again. First, let me start by the issue of the JAC. Drawing accounts from my colleague here, also from the previous council. I was also of the same. I was in council. Now, fortunately for me, the last council I had was 2009, 2019, 2010. That was 3 years. It was at I was exiting when the joint account became so lucrative to the government and the taking over. Now, but I was fortunate to have the last 2 meetings of the JAC, which all the local governments in the state were part of the JAC. Now, the briefing we had was, and of course, the law says 10% of the revenues that were generated at that time by the state. By the state itself. The money that is going to come from federation accounts and any other revenue that are likely to come maybe by way of grant, that is the money that is supposed to be collected and be disbursed to local governments at that time. Now, I'm baffled when I heard that monies were deducted from that JAC account. For what reason, I don't know actually. The money that was deducted is going to be deducted is there are administrative charges. And if there are children, the cost of protected was usually deducted for the children or emirates. This and totaling everything is not even up to 5%. All of them is not even up to 5% that is supposed to be deducted from the joint account to those bodies, including the administrative fund, which is if the FCTA is supposed to be the oversighting ministry or oversighting department or oversighting agency, then there's something that is going to be for the service of the account. Now, when there is a money that is deducted, why and how? Now, 2, the FIRS, FCT FIRS is also an issue of concern. Yes, it's also an issue of concern. Now, I'm just thinking this way, but since somebody's mentioned that the chairman of the FCT FIRS was here, and he has admitted to the fact that yes, the money was there, but he doesn't have the capacity to disburse because his fund is only to collect and cannot disburse. That means there is a point. Yes, yeah. No, but this FCT FIRS, is it?
FCT ALGON.
Oh, FCT ALGON. Thank you. Because I had somebody say FCT, and that's why I was confused.
FCT ALGON.
Okay, that means that's the body that is supposed to collect money and give it to federal FIRS, and then maybe part of it to the FCT, is it?
Purely for FCT.
Oh, purely for FCT. And that's why 10% is supposed to go to local governments. Then, madam, why is it that this money is not paying the money? The authorities come from statutory. Yes, from the minister. Okay, it's supposed to come from the minister because that's the way the authorities are supposed to use their money, give it to them. At the point of disbursement every month. At the point of disbursement every month, it will not be late for a day. The day you are going to disburse the money for the financial account, that's the day you're supposed to disburse and give them that. So I think if there's a problem here, and the problem is not from you, then my chairman, I suggest that here also the chairman should be invited. Let him come and realize the reason why he's not. And what is exactly even collected for the period under review.
The chairman and the minister.
Yes, and the minister. For the period under review. For the period under review, how much is there for them? So let's see how
chairman
and the chairman and the minister. So I think that's the point I wanted to bring. And then the issue of the Paris Club, my colleague here has pointed on it. It's a very simple thing. But then the source, who is funding the money? Is it the CBN? Is it the federal ministry? Sometimes we find for completing their calculation with those. But please do us a conjunction, maybe the ministry of the FCT is going to have a look at that. Then the local council should be part of maybe a kind of small committee to look at the flows properly. And then highlight all the areas of the conflict and the streamline the consistency. It's easy for us to find the look at the control. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm so happy today that because both of you are on the same page. So I think with that, we should all drive towards the solution to the problem. Meanwhile, actually, the junior, I guess you came a little bit late for your agitation to for the implementation of the minimum wage because you are the symbol of the local government in the confederations. And all other local governments are looking at you as an example that is why they are clamoring more for the autonomous of the local government. But it's unfortunate that today we are hearing that minimum wage are yet to be local governments now at FCT. I think it's a very sympathetic matter. But notwithstanding, both of you need to work together, and I can see that you are now coming up with solutions in blocking some leakages. Because even if this minimum wage is paid, your argument about 6 billion naira is made available today. The sustainability of the minimum wage payment in the FCT is very, very key too. So that is why both of you need to work together in blocking all these leakages you identified. I think the chairman also needs to work on this, especially the entry. Then I want to ask a question, Mr. Chairman. Have you ever been given any letter of appointment to the teaching services? Any of you have ever been given any letter of appointment? Take note of that and maybe you can. Because if you have been given any letter since you came on board as the chairman, that means you are also spending from that money 1.2 billion that we have been talking about. Because what they used to do is that that money, whenever somebody is retiring, instead of declaring, they will just bring another, like you say, placement to pay somebody. So if you have been encouraging them and you have been collecting employment letter from them, so you are also being involved in this spending of that money. So the most important thing now is the Minister of FCT to give instruction that nobody should do any employment for now. By that, you'll be able to see when your money, the excess money being kept in it. Because they don't have access to that money. They can only use it to pay salary. So give the instruction that they should stop taking employment. And you check yourself whether any employment letters have been given to any of you. Mr. Chairman. I think bailout, you should be careful about this bailout we are talking about, because bailout is low. And that is why you are clamoring for the one you are paying now. So let us look for way to support the area council in paying them, because the FCT are paying their staff the minimum wage. So why leaving you behind? So Mr. Chairman, I think both committee, the FCT committee, area council committee, the ministers and the union, including the chairman, there should be a meeting where we can come together to agree on how we solve this problem.
Thank you. Chairman, Honorable Minister, our guest, mine is, let me adopt some of the views of my colleagues here on this problem. But you see, beyond alluding to all these problems, there are fundamental issues. Because all the things we're talking about seem to me like symptoms. The cause of all these problems have largely been left unattended. Let's take, for instance, how did we come about the minimum wage? Who and who negotiated the minimum wage? Who did what on behalf of who? By the time you sit down, with due respect at the center, and you determine what other tiers of government will pay without even factoring in their capacity, have an issue to miss the steps. It takes us to a larger question. But having said that, you also have to look at the workability of JAC. I've been a council chairman, I've been an ALGON chair in Kogi, in my home state. I can say with all sense of responsibility that JAC is a fraud. I think part of our focus here, Mr. Chairman, is to set in place machinery, particularly now that we have the constitutional amendment process on. JAC should be abrogated altogether. Unless we don't want the local councils to function independently as a tier of government. I was through a challenge. I was on the national television with the governor, very powerful governor at that, and he was talking about increasing state allocation. And the question I asked went unanswered. I threw a challenge. Tell me that state that has obeyed all the constitutional provision relating to JAC, apart from interference in council funds. The states are also meant to contribute a quota to it, a percentage of their earnings. This has been obeyed mainly in the breach. So, Mr. Chairman, distinguished colleagues, I think that is another area that we must look at if we intend that we'll have a lasting solution to this incessant problem. Finally, Sir Cisco, you may wish to ask yourself, why are all the councils on strike? If for any reason each has its own peculiar problems, then all of you should not be on strike. You are not equally endowed. But because there is this apron string that is controlling everyone from different angles, when one sneezes, the other catches too. So I want to suggest that we look in the area of JAC. We honestly don't need it. Nobody needs JAC, except perhaps their excellencies, with all due respect. And I think if we must move this country forward, we need to be very, very firm in bringing about this change. Finally, on the issue of the Paris reform.
Let's go.
I'm told it's like you have an approval that you're here to draw down. Is that correct? You have an approval on that that you are here to draw down. That is a temporary issue. Like my colleague said, You must look beyond. The FCT has the potential. All you need to do is to be freed of all those bottlenecks so that you can realize your potential and key into the future. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable about Jack. As he said, I concur. It's the fraud in the next constitutional review. My question goes to the ALGON Chair, FCT. We are here, I think we are up to a year and a half here. You have never come to us for any complaint. So if you are suffering and we don't know you're just like you want to go to a doctor, you don't tell the doctor your problem until the thing gets to the head. That disease might end up killing you. So I want to advise, not until when things get to a bad situation before you know that this committee exists. Minister, it's good to me if you can go for that, what we call bailout. Because you are operating like a state, as you said. You need fund to be able to function very well. And I believe whatever you even owe the federal government is capable to give. So as long as we are going to use the fund judiciously, we are in your support. So go out for it, and then I believe you that you will do well, because you have already been doing well. The area of improvement on infrastructures in area councils. When Erufai was the Minister of FCT, he had a plan that he wanted to decentralize the ministries, departments and agencies so that area council can develop very fast. So he was unable to carry out that before he was removed or before he left office. So if you can look at this very well, you will discover that in the morning, early morning, you see the volume of vehicles coming from the Kubwa axis, Nyanya axis, Gogolada axis. You know that there are only very few people are living within the FCT center, city center. You talk about the facilities being overstretched. Most of these people overstretching these things are coming from area councils. So why don't we look for a way to develop that site and decentralize all these agencies, departments, and the ministries? So that instead of coming from the morning into town, you are there. And then most of these facilities also, because they are there, government will be forced to develop them. This is just my advice. Thank you so much.
Primary school teachers, NEA. Is it solely the responsibility of area council? What percentage does the FCTA contribute? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, all the speakers have spoken very, very well. And I want to say they have said it all. Mr. Chairman, Honourable Minister, what I just want to say about the area council administration, that the area council administration and this particular committee, they should have a synergy. They should see the way of working together. I want to say, assume that there's a proper synergy between the area council administration and this powerful committee. I want to say that I want to believe by now, about not an end. So, Honourable Minister of State, I want to say that this committee should be given proper attention, and the area council will not be having this particular challenge by the grace of God. Honourable Minister of State, I listened to your presentation very well, and you know this honourable committee that possible that some of the bailout that the minister has been given and it's like the area council has not been, if I can get it very, very well.
Minister, I want to say that the FCT administration should see the way of giving the area council administration to enable them to resolve all these crises. Agree with me today is 17. In the next 15 or 30 days, we'll go on holiday. And before you know, we are in January 2021. And that was the presentation of the NULGE and the NUT, that if the action do not take place anything from January 2021, they will go on protest more than that. So, Honorable Minister said, I want to say that if we should find a way of giving the area council the bailout to enable them to meet up with their demands. Thank you very much.
There is a great concern about how we can address these issues. To start with, we feel very, very uncomfortable to say that if a strike taking place for more than 2 months in the Federal Capital Territory, that is the seat of the president, where the ministers reside, where so many honorable members, senators reside, to try to find a solution to it. But however, at last, we are looking at how we can address the whole issue. You have seen one very issue that is so significant in these discussions. We are talking about the non-implementation of the minimum wage. But there are more to that. We should look beyond that, especially the status of our schools in the FCT. Some time ago, we interfaced with the chairman, where he categorically stated that most of the schools in FCT were understaffed. They don't have teachers. Most of the classrooms are not, something to write up. Now, and he couldn't make us understand that he has been given approval to employ more teachers. The one we have at glance, we cannot pay them. We are looking for a solution of how we can address the shortcomings. Then we are proposing how to employ another teachers to engage them in some of these schools. That is a great concern. I want to align myself with the submission of honorable members as regard how we can address these issues. They have raised a very significant issues from the amendment of the laws. Most of these laws that are outdated. We are looking forward to see how we can come together and address some of those things. The Honorable Minister, if you could still remember in our last budget, I categorically make a statement about the satellite towns. Until we shift attention little from the city center, we will continue to have this problem. Because when you look at the city centers, we have almost reached about 70% of development. The major population of the people residing in this Abuja is from the satellite town. We are looking at this 2021 budget. So we'll make sure we attach priority to every item of the budget that will come, so that some of these challenges can be addressed. And again, the issue of Paris loan too, the Honourable Minister, Paris Club Fund, we have done very well, Honourable Minister. You can't do it alone. And I think we need to involve all the stakeholders, even if it needs, we should have a stakeholders meeting on these particular issues, so that we can sit down and address this issue politically. I want to sincerely thank the chairman, the members of this committee.
All issues raised by honorable members here, starting from the audit issue, which is already in place within the Federal Capital Territory Administration. There is a committee formed. But for the NSAS process, that would have commenced its function already. Even though we wanted a forensic one, because where you have two parties, we mediated between them. Where you have the parties and there are also issues of trust. Forensic gives you clear because, for instance, okay, I am sending someone from the Federal Capital Territory Administration. The same people I am putting in the committee, area council chairman, the same people. It is not magic. If you are to draw from statutory membership, supposed of such committee, we still be the same people running the affairs and running the funding. So sometimes you have a breach, but then, like he said, for time, or for one turn of time, we can start with this to see where it takes us to. The permanent secretary is here, the DAF area council, that is duly noted. We'll be able to see where and how we best do it to avoid, cover-ups of what the committee is supposed to, be exposed of. Now takes us also to the issue of the deductions. To the best of my knowledge, the Act establishing JAC gave the deductions and equally compelled the area councils to pay the LEA teachers, and that is what is standing in. So FCT is not paying these teachers, and the statutory deductions from the JAC funds are the LEA teacher's salary, the 15% pensions fund, the 10% pension fund contribution, the 1% training funds. FCT pays completely, it might interest you to know. FCT does not benefit as a body from the JAC. Pays completely, 100%. I am made to understand, and if we permit, there's the DAF area council to shed more light on that, because she, at least, the permanent secretary, being new, though we are all updated, but would like to hear also from those that were running it for 4 years. Is it 8 years they've been on the seat? They know what they've been doing before we came, even with the former permanent secretary, with the former minister of state, even without minister of state within the period. But that they pay 100%. What they are deducting as FCT, the IRS is deducting is the 10% that serves as the deductions to be remitted for the bailouts. The bailout they were given must be paid back. So the IRS serves as the regulatory body to take the 10% from which these bailouts given to them, which they've been fully given 1, 2, 3, while the FCT as an administration are meant to understand just benefited 1. So these 3 bailouts they got is what is being deducted by the IRS and paying back. The IRS does not also remit to the FCT or as a body from the JAC. So that's one peculiar thing that is different from the JAC in the Federal Capital Territory and the JACs you have in the state. The FCT is not a beneficiary of the JAC fund, directly, and that should be a plus to the FCT. We see the JAC meeting as a place where the FCT also, as a body, and the area council sit at least within the month or quarterly when they are to be given their denominations to sit and deliberate some other issues, to brainstorm how to mitigate issues and matters arising. That is what it is used for in the Federal Capital Territory. The Federal Capital Territory does not withhold their fund. Now again takes us to the IGR issue. The hanging funds, to make it very clear, when they made me to understand the hanging funds with the CBN, we communicated the CBN and the governor, and they made us to understand that until they come up with such evidences. So it was for the area councils to come clean with their documents. So for the honorable member that also said, I think he was privileged 2019 also to be in the local government. I know he will give us, he will be a compass here, because I also had to mandate them to even travel to states to ensure that they will lay their hands on documents talking about such remittances to the states, and we'll be able to pressure further other, even if it means getting in touch with you to help us assert pressure on the CBN to release the hanging funds from the TSA. But if we do not have such records, it is not clear on it. So all, governance is all about records and documentations. You cannot act from outside the box. But all what FCT has done so far so good is serving as the stabilizer. As for the laws, the obsolete laws also are being looked into, and the committee will be properly engaged. But for the COVID-19 pandemic that came from March, which took substantial period of our time of governance and management as a nation, this would have been laid to rest already. But definitely this will bring to you to see how some laws are already drafted by the legal department to see, because to say FCT is still being controlled, or managed by the Act, the Decree 4 of 1976 of Niger State is an ISO. So we'll look into these very issues to ensure that it is up to date to meet, and serve the people better. But if we look clearly at the functions of the area councils vis-a-vis the FCT as a quasi-state now, you cannot divorce them from one another because there are functions and the same platform they share. So we've made efforts, especially with the AMAC, to discuss some of these issues, and there have been problems even before now, and definitely now with this new step we are taking, also with the House of Reps, we might be able to come up with clear laws, aligning where the implementation of the area council starts and ends, and where that of the Federal Capital Territory Administration begins and ends. This will also lead to so many other issues, like the claims of the double taxation, that AMAC will lay claim on, and the Federal Capital Territory as an administration will lay claim on. Then this will streamline definitely the areas of revenue generation within the Federal Capital Territory. Not to even undermine the potentials of FCT, especially in the areas of revenue generation within the area councils. Numerous. For instance, tourism is completely untapped, and all the area councils do have them. Where we lay hands on, where we help develop, where we might even partner with one another, and as a regulatory body to ensure that revenues are being generated. I think the fundamental issue here is over-reliance on what even comes from the federation. What do we do? The fundamental issue now is the pragmatic steps we will take towards revenue generation. What do we do outside the normal taxation? What can we do, particularly as a people, with peculiar, with differences in the 6 area councils to generate revenue? So we are beginning to look at these. For instance, we've been able to look into the crossroad here in Pape. You can see another beautiful place coming up, and we'll see what we can do. How best can we also engage? Even at the area council level, you see some of them to be visit a lot, and yet unasked, undeveloped. We'll see even within AMAC where we have seen developed clients. For instance, the main key that will be moving to Abuja or Apple. The old city itself could be defined to keep all their monuments, their ancestral things, and their heritage in store for all visiting, expatriates and foreigners to go in there to serve as, side attraction, conserving and preserving the tradition and culture of the people, at the same time generating revenue. These and many more will be able to do, but it's a function of time, it's a function of the constitution, function of the bylaws, which we will also liaise with the House to amend quickly, for time is not a friend to anyone. Before we know it, like the AMAC chair said, shortly after this year, there will no longer be time for proper management with it towards elections. So what we are struggling to do, today is to ensure that the needful is done, and collectively we'll do it better, for nation building is a collective responsibility. The area council chairman must also, I have realized, get some exposure exposures, through trainings, through seminars, through tours and engagement with other developed clients to see how it is properly run. This will go a long way to support the area council management. So with these honorable members, we are expecting from you also a very solid oversight function. You touched strongly the area, for instance, of the UBEM. That is an area that even within the administration, as I speak to you, I've taken a bold step with the concept that we are rejigging completely. We are compelled to even transfer the entire staffing of that area to see what is wrong somewhere. Is there something that's been ordered? Because with what we are getting actually from the federal government of what has been given as or contracts also for the renovation of the schools, these are being what's applicable on ground that we are seeing. It's not tallying. But all the same, before you begin your oversight function, which personally I'm inviting you to come and do, which also lay to rest the issue of do's and don'ts, who did what and did not from the UBEC and the UBEC, we will now carry out our own by rejigging that entire system to bring in new management that will be directly accountable with rules and regulations that will ensure that justice is done to funds being given for the primary school management, justice is done to the application, down to contractors also that to carry out the functions, their competencies and so on. This we are doing already at the body, and we are looking up to you for your oversight function to give us a strong backbone as the team overseeing the affairs. On this, not so far so good. Olanipe, would you have something to say? But I spoke on the, are you alright with it? Because I wanted you to open up. Okay. So as for the JAC, honorable member, the JAC in FCT is not the JAC you are seeing in states. The JAC in FCT has been up to 8 game, and we don't source or tap or siphon the area council money. This JAC overseas. This JAC gives holistically what is there, but the 10% deduction is meant to satisfy. When you loan, you must pay. So it is mediating as a regulatory body. I am meant to understand for clarification that these deductions are remittances for the 3-step loans that were given. Then as for the other internal loans they were given as bailout, I have already met my colleague, the Honorable Minister. I have appealed to him, and we are looking into it that this is a very crucial period. This kind of period was the period that mandated the government to also borrow or loan the area council's money. Actually, this will not be the right period to do these deductions again. We are looking into it to suspend that payment, but you must know as area councils that debt continue to remain debt until you quickly learn to generate revenue, and then you must pay back because it was not a grant. Thank you very much.
The respected honorable members, my honorable Minister of State, the Chairman of local councils, the Chairman of ALGON and FCT, distinguished colleagues, my name is Adeshola Olushade, Permanent Secretary, FCT. If I have 1 minute from the Chairman to make 1 or 2 additions, I will appreciate it. Chairman, you will have observed while I came in, I took granite there, I gave to NULGE and NULGE to eat. When you are war with your youth trade union leaders, they will never collect anything from you. They collected from me, we shared and were eating. That shows the level of that is just on the lighter. My honorable minister has really delved into all the issues for which I need to lead to all no addition. Just to re-echo what she has said, the JAC of FCT has been remitting to the councils all that is. However, the greatest challenge is the revenue base. We will always fight when the resources is not adequate, but our needs continue to spiral. And this is the basic issue.
if not that the federal government stopped the junction at the park, what the area council got will have got in the September park would have even been so challenging that probably we'll not even be able to sit down. But so that's why all of us, we need to sit down to look at how we expand and generate more revenue. And this is the engagement and conversation we are doing actively within the FCT and with the area councils have been enjoying to look at even their private revenue collection arrangement. The situation where private collectors are earning more than the council is also not good. We are compelling our system within the FCT. All our money should be remitted to the fund in line with federal government here. We are also enjoying them as a third tier of government, for which we may not be able to impose rules and regulations directly, but through moderation and persuasion, you adopt the same. So in this way, we know the situation will improve. Thank you, Chairman.
Mustafa Adamu is my name, FCT ALGON CHAIRMAN. I think it is a very fruitful deliberation. We believe the outcome of the meeting will give us a conducive environment to administer our people in our various area councils, because the presentation is a very excellent one. The committee members are able to understand our plight, where our forms are hanging is the effort we're making, so that it can be released for us to run the government of the local level. Even before now, we have been doing wonderful work with them. We are doing it transparently with them, inclusive, so that these sources of funds that we are talking about is known to them, and if it is at hand, they will also be in position to know. Normally, our principals are ready to assist us, and that is what we appreciate, so that they will augment our effort to be able to pay this minimum wage.
This is Farmer Tijani, member representing Kenya, the Federal Constituency, and by the special grace of God, I'm the chairman, FCT Area Council and Ancillary Matters, House Committee Chairman. The purpose of this meeting is to interface between the NUT and the NULGE that has been on strike for almost like 2 months ago now. We feel so sad that the issues will not address as at when due, but our intervention is to make sure that at least there should be an understanding and possibly look for funds to address the pressing issues. The pressing issue was that how to meet up with the minimum wage, isn't it? Yeah, minimum wage. And we're all aware that there is a scarcity of funds, but that is not to say there's no way out. We are able to bring the two parties together to make sure that they have a common understanding, especially where an agreement has been reached, so that that agreement, should not be betrayed. That's the situation. If you look at it, the FCT budget is a statutory budget. It does not even come on the floor of the House. As at the time it comes, we will make sure we do all the needful to make sure that all those things are captured in the budget. And that is why we stand to mediate between the NULGE and the management. So I'm very hopeful that at the end of the day, we would have a very smooth understanding. Because of the pandemic, if you look at it, the situation, no any committee has been able to perform its oversight functions effectively, especially in this 2020. But going forward, we have devised a method of which we are going to, before even the presentation of the budget, we'll make sure that we'll move around and oversight, so that at least we can have a value for what we have given to the area councils and other agencies under our supervisions.